You better not miss.
Fans were in for an action-packed adventure when Sonic 3 premiered in theaters. Introducing Shadow into the franchise gave Sonic an enemy who could match him blow for blow and who nearly overpowered him in the end. Fortunately, Shadow's experiences with Maria allowed him to see the error of his ways, and before he could commit to destroying the world, he was convinced to stand down and help protect Earth from Robotnik's Eclipse cannon. I like to imagine that Shadow's redemption was influenced by his friendship with Maria and how she encouraged him to view Earth as his home. To up the stakes in future films, Sonic will need an enemy without the same experiences, say, someone who doesn't have a heart to sway with kindness, generosity, or friendship. I'm relieved the film franchise appears to be leaning in this direction, as the mid-credit scene in Sonic 3 introduces the villain, Metal Sonic. After overshooting his race with Tails and Knuckles, Sonic finds himself alone in secluded woods, the perfect place for an ambush. He is attacked by Metal Sonic, a robotic entity with the same speed and strength as the hedgehog he's modeled after. Sonic narrowly avoids his enemy's first attack, only to be surrounded by an army of his robotic lookalikes. The army came as a surprise, but it seems that Metal Sonic has the numbers and the means to wreak havoc. Luckily, Sonic seems to have allies, old and new, who can help him protect his home. As I mentioned, Metal Sonic isn't someone who can be reasoned with, so he's destined to become a dangerous and unrelenting enemy. In today's video, I'll discuss who Metal Sonic could become in Sonic 4.
Yeah, I overshot the finish line.
Number 1. Robotnik's Legacy. From the trailers for Sonic 3, it seemed that Dr. Robotnik would join forces with Team Sonic to defend the world against a common enemy. However, the trailers were framed to misdirect the audience, as Robotnik quickly betrays Sonic when he reunites with his long-lost grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. Gerald was one of the lead scientists on Project Shadow and the grandfather to Shadow's best friend Maria. Gerald and Robotnik plan to avenge Maria by destroying Earth with the Eclipse cannon, a massive weapon powered by chaos energy. Ivo Robotnik believes his grandfather wants to help him take over the world, an act that would bring them together as a family. When he realizes that his grandfather wants to destroy everything, including himself, Robotnik does everything in his power to stop him, including prolonging the Eclipse cannon's implosion until it's pushed away from Earth. As Robotnik doesn't have a way to escape before the cannon erupts with chaos energy, it's assumed that he died in the explosion. However, if Robotnik did die at the end of Sonic 3, Metal Sonic's introduction in the mid-credit scene may result in a continuity error. As everyone knows, the films are loosely inspired by the video game franchise that came before it. Within those games, Metal Sonic is widely regarded as Robotnik's greatest creation. He's meant to act as the anti-Sonic, capable of matching his adversary in speed and strength. In a sense, Robotnik uses Metal Sonic to fight fire with fire. It's also worth noting that Metal Sonic isn't easy to defeat, and when he is forced to retreat by the heroes, it doesn't take long for him to undergo repairs or upgrades before he's wreaking havoc again. It seems unlikely that Dr. Robotnik will be the creator of Metal Sonic, considering his premature death, but it's still within the franchise's realm of possibility. After the end of Sonic 2, the authorities and Sonic alike assumed that Robotnik had died, but he is later revealed to be alive by his assistant, Agent Stone. Robotnik had been hiding in an underwater base where he spent his time eating fast food and watching soap operas. While it may seem like Robotnik was taking an extended vacation, there's nothing that implies he didn't make a few creations during his time in hiding. His isolation could have been the perfect time to manufacture his ultimate creation inspired by his greatest adversary. It's possible that Metal Sonic wasn't finished or ready for combat, which is why he didn't appear throughout the main film. Yet now that he's activated and on the hunt for Sonic, he can fulfill Robotnik's final wish and become his legacy.
This is Dr. Ivo Robotnik, dedicating my final live stream.
Number 2. Agent Stone's origin. While Robotnik is the one who created Metal Sonic, he doesn't need to be the one to activate him. Anyone with knowledge or access to Metal Sonic's location can activate his protocol and send him to apprehend Sonic. As far as the audience is aware, the only person with knowledge of Robotnik's inventions, including how to locate them, is his former assistant Stone. Throughout Sonic 3, Stone expresses his loyalty to Robotnik time and again. He doesn't hesitate to help his partner access the Eclipse cannon, even when he suspects that Gerald and Shadow plan to betray them. Stone's bond with Robotnik goes beyond that of partners in crime. Stone views Robotnik as his closest friend and fears losing him for a second time. He attempts more than once to make his friend see reason and convince him to abandon his grandfather's plans. His attempts are in vain, but Robotnik realizes how much Stone means to him as well, and goes out of his way to broadcast a final message to Stone, thanking him for his friendship and loyalty. Stone appears genuinely devastated to lose Robotnik, his grief likely made worse because he never had the chance to reconcile with Robotnik after their brief falling out. Losing someone close to him could parallel Shadow's narrative, leading him to take extreme measures in an act of revenge. While Stone knows that Robotnik chose to sacrifice himself to stop the Eclipse cannon, he may still blame Sonic for pushing his friend to such extremes. In order to get revenge and stop Sonic once and for all, Stone may release, control, and depend on Robotnik's final creation. He could become the mastermind behind Metal Sonic's action, being an adversary hidden safely in the shadows.
Think Elvis, circa 1976.
But sir, I don't have the proper materials.
Found some.
Number 3. Sonic's greatest enemy. Everyone who is familiar with the Sonic franchise knows that Metal Sonic is one of the Hedgehog's greatest enemies. As he was made for the sole purpose of overpowering Sonic, the robot is capable of imitating his moves and speed, making him incredibly difficult to defeat. Moreover, he has a high intellect and is determined to prove himself as superior to the real Sonic, who he mutually views as his greatest adversary. There are occasions in the previous games where Metal Sonic's determination to defeat Sonic causes him to turn against Robotnik, abandoning his creator's instruction in favor of pursuing his personal goals. Metal Sonic is well known for being a ruthless individual. Unlike former enemies like Shadow and Robotnik who could be swayed from evil with the right incentive, Metal Sonic has no emotional connections or moral obligations holding him down. Ruthless and incredibly aggressive, I doubt that Metal Sonic will think twice before attacking innocent civilians or causing widespread destruction. If Team Sonic wants to defeat the robot, they can't hold back. It's possible they'll need to depend on the Chaos Emeralds to stand a chance, placing them on the same path as Shadow, who is the last known character to wield the Emerald's power. Unfortunately, I have the sneaking suspicion that enhancing their powers and receiving help from new allies won't be enough to stop Metal Sonic. The robot is known for returning after each defeat stronger than the last. Currently, the limit of his abilities is unknown, and it's possible he wanted to apprehend Sonic alive in the mid-credit scene, causing him to hold back. More importantly, there's more than one of him. The brief scene of Metal Sonic showed that he had an army of duplicates at his back, with each of them prepared to fight Sonic and Amy. Due to their numbers alone, there's a significant chance one of the robots would escape, even after an intense battle with Sonic and his allies. It's entirely possible that Metal Sonic will remain as the overarching villain in the franchise, who can appear in future films, limited series, and comics. I'm eager to learn more about Metal Sonic and his origin in the next film. The decision to introduce his character after the death of Robotnik results in many open-ended questions that fans are keen to have answers for. Personally, I would love it if the films deviated from the games' canon enough to turn Agent Stone into a fully fledged villain. The events of Sonic 3 and the loss of Robotnik give him the motivation and the means to enact revenge on Sonic and his allies. It also allows Metal Sonic to remain Robotnik's greatest creation, while also operating under someone else's guidance. Regardless of the direction his story goes, one thing is for certain: Metal Sonic will become the greatest adversary Sonic has faced so far. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.
Look at you celebrating like the game's been won. This is only the beginning of the end.